Let's go. Thank you for joining us. I was at the tavern and in the middle of a song when I saw Laura with Curvin and Louise. Curvin and Louise was two of her and Scott's kids. They were on each side of their mother. I turned and handed the mic to Karen and jumped off the stage, hurrying over to them, taking Laura from them and setting her down. What happened? I asked. Not really sure. We were shopping, and she said she was feeling faint. Then she moved to the ground. We were right beside the tavern, so we brung her in here. Patsy, you got to help her, Louise said. I looked to Laura. Lorelei, I called to her, and she looked weakly up to me. You need to find Mike, she said. It seemed trying to remain awake. I watched as she moved and placed her head on the table. I looked to the stage. Jack, go and get Tony, I told him. He placed his guitar down and moved quickly off the stage. Mommy, Carvin said, shaking her. Carvin? No. She will be all right. Carvin was in 9th level and Louise was in 12th level. She's going to be all right? Louise said as Tony came out and hurried over to us. What happened? Tony said, as Sandy also was now beside us. I am not sure. We need to get her to the clerical lodge. And I told him, and he moved to pick her up. Donald, Jim, get out here, Tony called, and the two moved quickly to us. You two go with Tony, and I will go and find your daddy, I told the kids. Sandy, go with them and take care of the kids. I told Sandy as she stood there looking helpless. She nodded and took the kids by the hand and followed Tony. I moved out of the tavern and ran to the court hall. As I entered, Danny and Mike, along with Alex, Emmett, Laura, Partina, Juanita, Stockert, and Emmy, were all there on stage. I moved quickly to them. Mike, Tony just took Lorelei and the kids to the clerical lodge. I am not sure what has happened, I said, concerned for Laura. He looked to the others, then jumped off the stage and took out of the hall. What happened? Danny asked. I do not know. The kids came in the tavern, assisting her to walk. Then she sat down at the table and asked for Mike. She fainted, I believe, I told them. Come on, Emmett said, and they all jumped off the stage. Danny took my hand and I moved with them to the lodge. We were there for about 5 hours passing when Mike came to the waiting area. We all stood looking to him. The cleric said she was bitten by an archera. He has given her some antibiotics, hoping to assist her body to fight off the venom. We will not know anything for a couple of days, Mike said. An archera is a small flying insect. It bites. It is not life-threatening. However, it can cause permanent damage to the area where it bites. Like if it bites you on your arm can become useless, depending on the amount of venom it ejects into your arm. Where did it bite? Emmett asked. We are not sure, as her body healed the puncture, Mike said. You would think her body could heal the bite, then, Emmett said. An opening in your skin is a lot different than the fluid of venom in your veins, Emmy said to Emmett. Yes, I know. What can we do? Emmett asked. Right now? Not a damn thing, little brother. I will meet you all back at the palace, Mike said, and turned to his children. The two of you go with Uncle Emmett and Aunt Emmy, Mike told them. I want to see my mommy, all right? Carvin said. You want to go with Uncle Emmett, Mike informed him, and he received a very mad look. The two little ones then moved over to Partina and Juanita, and they left. Danny placed his hand on Mike's shoulder. I will be at the lodge. Let me know what is going on, Danny told him. Contact you as soon as I know something, Mike told him, and the two of us left the tavern, or left the lodge. It had been a couple days passing. Laura seemed to be all right. We all assumed that the medicine the clerics gave her assisted the venom or the insect did not transfer much into her body. She seemed to be doing good. It was the day of the concert. No one was in a good mood, it seemed. Danny was upset with his father, and his father keeps insisting him to move to the bar, and he refused to leave me. However, I was getting him to stay in both places. It seemed someone informed our high priest that Danny had not been there in a couple of weeks. I felt so bad for him. I even thought of causing a fight and breaking up with him. However, I knew Danny, and he would not fight with me. So that was out of the question. Back to thinking again, I would go. Martina and I with the others were behind the stage. Par had Carradine in her arms. Carradine was her and Emmett's son. Mike and Laura were at the side of the stage. I watched as they both came back to where we were. Laura was in tears. What is wrong? Martina asked. Laura motioned to her neck and mouth. I cannot talk, she said. And if I cannot talk, I can't very well sing. Martina looked from one to the other, and then she handed Carradine over to Mike, or over to Emmett. I will come with you. I'll sing for you until your voice gets better. Lorelei shook her head, or nodded her head, and Martina went out with Mike. They're in the middle of the show, and our people expected the show to go on, so therefore the show had to go on. Chapter 30. Entering into the cottage, I moved into the gathering. No Danny. I looked about and gave up looking and looked to Brian. Where is Danny? I asked. In his office, or what is left of his office, he sighed. What is wrong? I asked him. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to read chapter 30 again. Chapter 30. Entering into the cottage, I moved into the gathering. No Danny. I looked about and gave up, looking to Brian. Where is Danny? I asked. In his office, or what is left of his office. He sighed. What is wrong? I asked him. He is pissed, and when he is pissed, the best thing is to remain away from him. He told me. I had never really seen him get as mad as his father could make him. I then sighed and moved down the hall and knocked on the door. It is not locked, came his reply. I opened the door and stepped in. His office was in shambles, so that you can get a good picture of this. I see it as I did. I will explain Daniel Humberg's office. As you enter the office, to the left and the right of the door were two vase stands. Then to the right, as a corner, was a small bar, a sofa against the far wall. There was a small table between the area of the bar and the sofa. Then there were bookshelves next to the sofa, and moving around the wall from the sofa, there were two filing cabinets. Then his desk, and beside his desk there were two chairs, and against the wall to the left of the door was another shelf that had pictures and frames and other items along with folders. Now the two stands were across the room, the table was turned over, the shelves were turned over, all the books were scattered everywhere. There were papers all over the place. The filing cabinets were opened. One was turned over, and all the files were scattered. The bookshelves beside the desk was turned over, and everything was on the floor and broke. There was a picture of the high priest with a dagger through his chest on the wall, and it looked as if he gave his father a beard and horns. The bar was also turned over, and bottles of it were broke and on the floor. Also, there was nothing on his desk besides a glass and a bottle of sherry. He sat behind his desk with the bottle in hand as I entered. Now, I hope you have a good understanding of what I was looking at and understand why I stood there in the door in dismay. I looked to the room and the mess, and then him. Get into a fight with your office. Did you win or lose? I asked, looking to him. Really, I could not believe the state of his office. Normally, it was spotless. I forgot to mention the whip that looked as if it was slung across the room. Also, were the pictures and other wall ornaments that were now on the floor. What did Emmy tell you? He asked, actually, hatefully. Danny, you really need to calm down. Do you feel any better? I asked him. No. And the problem is solved. We will be moving to your compartment the first of next week, as soon as I can get all transferred into Emmett's name, he told me. Danny, no, I said. No what? You will not marry me? He said and took a drink from the bottle. Danny, you really want to give up the throne? I asked him. No, I do not. However, I am not giving you up either. I will tell the high priest in the morning, he told me. Danny, your people mean a lot to you. You mean a lot to your people. Do not do this, I said to him. Patsy, I can still entertain my people. Majority of them still do not know Danny Lee is Daniel Humberg, so it will make little to no difference to them, he told me. However, when the word gets out, Daniel, then they will know. I cannot let you turn your back on your people. They love you, I told him. They will get over the shock of finding out the truth, he said. I sighed. As he went to take another drink, I moved and took the bottle from him. Danny, listen to yourself talk. You are their protector. They will see it as if you betrayed them, I told him. They will forget all about it once I am on stage, he said, and he did not believe what he said. Danny, you do not believe that, I told him. He reached for the bottle. Give it back, Patsy, he said, and I sighed and felt the tears run down my face. Danny, you're being stupid, I told him. Yes, and you are lecturing me. So be it. I will inform the almighty high priest that I renounce the throne. I will have to give up the cottage as it was purchased under the name and the account of Daniel Humberg. After I renounce the throne, then anything in the account of Daniel Humberg will be frozen and given over to the high priest. Good thing my currency is in the account of Danny Lee, he said. Danny, please, you do not want to do this, I said, and he jerked the bottle from me. He leaves me no other choice. He wants me in Devar, or has told me to step down. In order for you to be with me, you have to be my wife or my courtesan. He will not allow you as my wife, so as of this day, I have stepped down. I am no longer in the circle. Still, he refuses to allow us to wed, for I am an executive prince. So in the morn, I will renounce the throne. Then I need not his approval to enter into matrimony. he informed me. Danny, would it be so bad for you to stay at Devar just until the rotation of the millennium ends? I asked him. I will not be away from you for 20 full year cycles of passing. It is not going to happen, Patsy, he said, and emptied the bottle, and I ducked as it went flying across the room and smashed against the wall, and his door opened, and Brian and Tony both rushed in, and two of the girls of the cottage, including Sandy and Danny, looked to them. What? He snapped. Nothing. Just making sure you are all right, Tony said. Get out. Danny snapped. Danny, destroying things is not going to make things any better, Tony said, trying to reason with him. Yes, however, it is much better than striking out on one of you, he said, looking to the two girls healed. Wish that whip once again, he asked sternly. No, my master, they both answered. Then what did I tell you? I told you not to return into this room unless I call for you. Now fetch your whip, he ordered them. I watched as Shirley, one of the courtesans, moved to the whip on the floor. I intervened and picked it up. Danny, you're doing this because you truly do not want to renounce the throne or give up your position, and you're drunk, I heard Tony say. Shirley looked up to me with fear in her eyes. It is all right, I told her. Then looked to her and the other one. Both of you, leave, I told them. Danny looked to me, noticing what I'd done. Do not interfere, he warned me, it seemed. Why, you going to charge me with contempt? I asked. He stood and looked to me blankly as I moved the girls out of Danny's sight before he started in on one of them, and this was not their fault. They had really done nothing wrong. Danny, you cannot make me your wife. You know this. I cannot allow you to give up the throne or even the circle, I said. I will not give you up. I will also not fight with you, Patsy, he said. Nor can I give you up, I replied, and moved to my knees, placing the whip to the floor before him. I crossed my wrists and moved my upper part of my body to the floor. I, Patsy Lee Sanders, give my freedom and life to my master, Executive Prince Daniel Leon Humberg. Witnessed before all within this room, I said, and remained silent. Patsy, no, I heard Sandy say in tears. Patsy, get up, I heard Danny then say. I raised to a heel and looked to him. I cannot let you do this. I will not, he said. You have no choice, my master. I have already done it, I told him. I have renounced my freedom. I give it to you, I told him. There is no one here that will hold you to those words, he told me. Danny, I will not allow you to give up the throne or the circle, I told him. Your request is denied. Stand up. You're still free, as you have a lily brand, and I have denied your renouncement. He told me. Your father can do this. Your father can do the same, I told him. He can deny yours. How he already said he would not, he informed me. He told me to think about it, he said. Please, darling, get up, he said, reaching down and pulling me up into his arms. I sighed as he denied me. I had gotten Danny to agree not to renounce the throne for the time being. Also, he said he would speak with his father and continue in the circle and would stay at Devar majority of the week, and with me the last of the week. I was at the tavern, sitting at the table, going over the night performance for the royal court, when Emmett Law, Emily, Partina, Juanita came in. I watched as they moved to the counter and then came over to the table and looked to them. How's it going? I asked. Emmett sighed. It is going, Emmett said. I knew they had something on their minds, and it was Danny. Now what? I asked Emmett. What do you mean, now what? He asked. All of you are acting as if there is something you want to say, yet do not want to say it. I told them. If we say anything, Danny will be pissed, Law said honestly. We just came to walk with you to the performance hall, as Danny and the others are fighting with Father, Emmy said. Emmy, hush, Emmett told her. What'd I say? She asked. What are they fighting about now? I asked them. Same thing, Danny renouncing the throne and denying the circle, Emmett said. I thought he returned to the circle, I replied. He did, and Father found out he was not always at the bar because Peter told him, Emmett said. Great, I sighed. Anyway, Danny is to write a written re-announcement to Father. That is when I left, Emmett said. When is he to write it? I asked. By the first of the following month passing, Emmett told me. I do not understand why Lewis is making such a big deal out of all of this, Partina spoke up saying, because Father wants to control all that we say and do. If not in his approval, then it is not going to be. He cannot just let things be as they are. He cannot meet Danny at least halfway. It is a mess, yet he is the high priest, and his word is law, even as self-gain as it may be. Emmett sighed. Father is afeared that someone will strike out at Scott, Mike, Danny, and Paul, and they are oldest, so he wants us there to protect them, Emmy tried to explain. Father needs Danny. He is one of the strongest of us. Father is blind. It is not as if Danny would be committing treason by marrying you, Emmett said, and I sat and listened to them. I knew what I had to do. I had to back Mr. I Love You in a corner. I stood. Let's go to the performance hall. Everything will be all right after tonight. We will have no reason to give up the throne or the circle, I told them. You're running off, and I will come looking for you. So will Danny, Emmett said. I laughed. Emmett, I am not running off nowhere, I told him. Only way for Danny to remain as he is for him not to have you, Law sighed. Law, there is another way. Come on, you little goose, I said and stood, gathering the music and walking with them. Lord, to pray, be with me. I really am headed to go insane, and I knew it. Chapter 31. The date of my insanity was the 9th day of the 5th month of the second year cycle of 82. We all met at the concert hall, preparing for the performance. I looked to Emmett and the others with him. None of you say anything to Emmett about telling me what you have told me, I said to them. Patsy, what you up to? Emmett and Emily asked me. Keeping your brother where he belongs, I sighed. You really do not want to, Emily told me, and she was right. I do not want to lose Danny, and I cannot have both, and he remain where the garden needs him, I told her. Patsy, things will come out all right in the end, Emmett told me. No, Emmett, I cannot let him do this. I love him too much. I love him more than my freedom. Without him, my freedom means nothing to me anyway, I told them. Emmy, go and contact our high priest and ask him to come to the performance. I need him here, I told her. Patsy, you do this, Danny is going to be more pissed off than what Dad makes him, Emmy said, as if she was reading me. yet he will remain where he needs to be. Please, I said to her. She sighed deeply and left out of the hall. I moved behind the stage with Partina, and together we went over the performance. It was not long before Emmy returned. I looked to her. Daddy said he would be here, Emmy said. Did you tell him why? I asked her. No, I just told him he might want to come and see the performance, that it might be Danny's last one, and if he did not want it to be, then to come and see. He said I was speaking in prophets, yet he would be here, she said, and I did laugh, as it was something hard to understand what Emmy just was saying or trying to say. Danny came up behind me and grabbed me, spinning me about, and kissed me. Hello, darling, he said, smiling as if nothing was amiss. I returned his smile. Hello, lover boy, I replied. We ready to get this performance going? Never know, maybe our last, he said, as if jesting. Yet you could sense he believed that. I laughed, pushing back. What I knew he did not know, I knew. I smiled to others and moved behind the stage with him. Boys and girls, kings and queens, counts and countesses, friends and fans, and all the rest of you people out there, welcome to the Atlantis Performance Hall. Now, can anyone tell me what we are here for? Alex said, and he moved across the stage. To hear a lot of you sing, came a deep voice of the high priest, and a light shined to the throne area of the hall. Looky, looky, 'tis our high priest. Want to come and sing a song to our Lord? Asked Alex. No, my sons do a very good job of that, even against my approval, Louis said with a laugh. Your Excellency should not have raised such talented children, Alex said. Let's give welcome to the Atlantis Sweethearts, he called, and Partina, Juanita, and I moved to go out on stage, and to our surprise, Emmy followed. I blinked and looked to her. What are you doing? I asked. Running from my big brother. He wants to know what Father's doing here. If I answer him, he will know I'm untruthful by saying I do not know. He cannot question me on this stage, she said, and I started to laugh as the music started, and we moved into a song. Glory to our Father, Lord of all. After our two songs, I grabbed the mic. Let's give welcome to Mike and the Thunders, I called out, and we remained on stage, for Emmy was right. If he could not ask questions, we did not have to give answers to them. Mike watched as we all remained on stage. He clicked the mic off and looked back to us. Someone want to tell me what's going on here? He asked. Nope. We are singing backup. Just sing, Juanita told him, and he laughed as Juanita and Partina both sung with him. And we sung backup. After 3 songs, Mike turned and looked to us. Now what? He asked. Announce Danny Lee, I told him. Then what? He asked, as he really seemed to be lost. Mike did not do good if things did not go smooth as they were rehearsed, and none of this night was rehearsed by any of us. Actually, looking back, it was quite hilarious. Then we will leave with you as he comes on stage, Emmy told Mike. I get the feeling you all are avoiding Danny. He laughed. You're right, Partina said, and pointed at the mic. He switched it on and looked to all the confused people that were not sure what we were all doing either. All right, folks, we say goodbye, wish all well, Mike called out, and the crowd started to shout, Danny, they would say. Danny Lee and Patsy Lee, they called, and Mike laughed. Oh, that is right, I forgot about this latter. Let us give a hearty welcome to Danny Lee, he called, and as Danny slid out into the stage, the the others left. I watched as he watched them, even as he grabbed the mic and went into a song. I was sure Partina and the others would explain things to Mike and Alex. "Who wants Patsy?" Danny called, as I was standing to the side after his song. The crowd started chanting my name, and I moved up beside him, and they cheered. We moved into the song. The whole time I was trying to get up the nerve to do what I knew I had to do. So we ended the second song. I looked to Danny. "You know something, lover boy?" I asked him, speaking into the mic. He put his down and held his hand over the mic. "What is going on here?" he asked. I smiled and moved the mic from under his hand. "Sheen, still your tongue. Come on, play with me. You know something, lover boy?" I repeated as my heart jumped into my throat at what I was about to do. "What is it? What is that, lover girl?" he said as it was the start of one of our songs. "I love you, and I will always love you until the end of time," I said to the music playing. "You're mine, and mine alone, and you're all I need or want in life," he then sung. "So will you give me what my heart desires?" I sung. "I will give you all and everything you ever want," he sung. And the next thing I said was not part of the song. "Then I ask thee give me a new brand, and a collar," I said, and the music came to an end, and I moved to my knees as I switched the mic to the one on my shirt. "I, Patsy Lee Sanders, give my freedom to Danny Lee," announced, as I knew this was national, and I did not want to give him anyway, and this was seen on all vision cons across the whole garden. He stood looking to me, then looked to those gathered. "Patsy, why? Why do this?" he asked me. "I love you. I have to. Please, Danny, accept me. Train me to your golden collar. Give me what my heart desires."